In this video, I'll be talking about CSS Absolute Position. Okay, so to start with, we will create a HTML basic this structure, HTML basic structure. Then inside we create inside our body elements, we create a div, not this one, div elements. We create a div element. Inside our div element, we'll give it we'll create a div inside div. Okay, let's add another div inside this div. Okay, so we'll give this first one. Now you can give it anything you want. Okay, but before we do that, let's link this is our external CSS. So let's link it to our HTML file. So just slash here under title, use link slash. Okay, it's now linked. Okay, back to our div. Okay, because we will be styling we're giving each of these div elements a very unique properties and values. So we can't just use div. We can't use element selector. In this tutorial, in this video, I'll be using class select. I can use ID, but I prefer class. Personally, I prefer using class to ID. Okay, let me you can give it any class name you want. Let me give it a class. Let me just call it, since this one is the main one, then the second it have another one. So let me give this one main. Then let me give this one a class of let me say class. Let me give it a name of, let me say child. Since it's inside this one, let me just give it a child. Okay, child div. Okay, now that I've created this, now go to our CSS. Let me refresh. We will not see anything yet. Okay, let me go to our CSS. Inside this our CSS now, we'll be calling two of them, each one separately. Okay, so first of all call the first one. So to do that, I will do div dot the name of the class, which is the first name, which is the main. Then we'll open our what's it called, declaration block. Inside our declaration block, we will give it width. Let me give it a width of, let me say 350, 400 by 350. Let me see how it will look. Let me say let me give the width 400 pixels. Okay, you will not see anything yet because I've not given it a background color. Okay, let me give the height 350 pixel. Okay, now let me give it a background color. Inside let me give background color. Let me just give it, let me use a color that will be more a little bit. Let me use golden lodge. Okay, you will see the color here. Let me no, this is not collect. I typed error. This is a gold. Okay, gold node. So this is the color. Okay, this is for our main here. This div, this first div. So we'll create another div inside this div. Okay, so let's call the second class, which is the child. So we'll do the same thing as we did to the first one, which is div dot the class name is child, div dot child child. Then we now open our declaration block. Inside this declaration block, let me give it I will give it the same property, but okay, let me just give it all the width and then give it a background color before I start applying the positioning. Let me give it width first. Let me give it width. Let me say 50 pixel. Let's say 50 px, which is pixel. 50 colon enter 50 pixel. Then the height. Let me give the height. Let me do 50 by 50 pixel. Let me see what it looks like. 50 by 50 pixel, and then let me give it a background color of let me say let me use aqua. Okay, let me use aqua. So let me give it a background color, the name, let me give it this aqua. Okay, you can see the color here, somewhere here. Okay, let me try and kind of shift it light. Let me see what will happen if I do it right. what if I do light now and do something like let me say 20 pixel? What happens? 20 pixel, what happened? Nothing happened yet. How about let me do it. How about 10 pixel? Okay, nothing will happen because we have not applied the absolute. Okay, so to do that, first of all, we make this one we give this one a property of relative. We give it a positioning, a property named positioning, position. Inside the position we give it relative. Okay, now we'll come back to shard. Inside the shard we'll now give it a position of a position property. Then they give it a value of absolute. This is the absolute we are talking about. Okay, let me clean this and give this thing a colon. So with this now, this one now can move within this div. It can just move within this div. It's now part of this div. It will take its left and right within this div, because without this this thing that I did now, it will be taking this one now takes its width and everything from outside. But this one now, since we add these two position, relative and absolute, this absolute now inside will take its position from the edge of this first div. Okay, let me do that that I did before. Let me add that right that I did before. Let me see what will happen. Right, then let me add it that 10 pixel and see what will happen. You can see it's now moving freely. It's now moving within this first div. Okay, so I want to let me bring it somewhere down here. Maybe I might just let some text inside. It doesn't matter, but let me just bring it down here. Let me bring it down here. So just know that without this absolute, you cannot. Without this absolute, you can't do this thing. It's not possible. Okay, although it's possible, because programming there might be thousands of ways to do one particular thing, but for this CSS that and with my little knowledge that I know, you can't do this thing without this relative and absolute. Okay, so let me shift this one down here. So let me do that. To do that, I'll come inside this our child element, inside this our child class. Under it, I want to bring it down, so I'll use bottom. I'll just use bottom, so it will come down. Let me add bottom. Inside this button, let me give it let me say 5 pixels, so it will move down very fast. 5 pixels, it will move down. Perfect. Okay, I don't even need much adjustment. What if I make here 5, so it will come closer. Yeah, it is shift more. How about 2 pixel? Perfect, so it will come a little bit closer. And then let me make this one 2 pixel, 2 pixel, so it will be uniform. Perfect. So you can actually use this. You can move this child class inside this main class as much as you can add. As you can add more child class inside this and move them inside here as you like. So this is how to do absolutes. So if I want, I can add text inside the child element. It will be displaying in this child. If I add for the main, it will be displaying here. Let me take for instance, let me just write something. Let me say let me use that our normal hello. Let me say hello inside this chat. You can see it's displaying here. You can see how it's displaying inside this place. Okay, you can see that no, it will go outside this. You can see how it's displaying here inside this box. So if I want to add text to the main div, I can also say the hello, the same hello. It will display somewhere here. Okay, so if I have multiple div, I can just give text for each of them and it will be displaying. So this is how to do absolute. And another thing in absolute is that one thing you should know there is that it can stay on top of another one. This absolute shard now, the one that have the absolute property, can stay is on top of this relative one. It can move on top, okay, on top of this main class, this main div, which is the main div, which is not main div, main class. Okay, div main class. Okay, so that's how to do absolute position in CSS. Okay, thank you for watching. See you in another video.